So you were Christopher Plummer?
Yes, I was. I nailed it.
Did you?
Like Jesus to the cross. It was good. I did it. And it was fun. And I really got over my concerns. Performance art in like empty spaces, because Ireland had fallen apart, the crash had happened and there was no money. And I was doing like singing Evita while like building towers of ice cream. I was thinking I'd love to bring put an accordion back and do it maybe topless and naked or something. There's a song in it where I count to 1 trillion. That one every night, and other songs where we would like, let's party, and there was like a drinking game and we would like drink. Like every time the word party came up, we'd be like, it was really like stupid and fun. The years of lockdown working on it, and knew that there was something really special about it. Just had this like feeling that I was like, this could be really, really great. Presented at Dublin Fringe, and literally 4 days later, I was signed to Curtis Brown.
It's variety.
Hello and good morning and welcome to today's episode of the Variety Show podcast with me, Adam Sternberg. Now, today's guest is an award-winning writer, performer and producer, creating musical theatre, cabaret and multi-platform performances. We need to get onto what that means. As an older sort of person, I don't know.
I sent it quite quickly.
His work explores pop culture and community life, and often revisiting historical moments and cultural traditions to spark new conversations. Welcome to today's episode, Xnthony.
Hello. Chigwich. That's Irish for hello.
I seem to remember my last guest tried to teach me to speak Irish.
I could do that a little bit.
Yeah, we can work on that a bit later. So, sorry, do you pronounce it Xnthony?
Xnthony, yeah. Or Xnthony, or Xnthony. People just, it's a whole panic. It's stuck now. I can't really undo
memorable.
it. That's good. Yeah, it does stand out.
I bet if you Google it, you're the only one.
Yeah, I really am the only one. And I did just Google myself today as well. So like, that's a good, I was like, yeah, still there, still taking up the timeline.
Yes. It's the whole thing, I think, with, well, I'd say performers, but possibly everyone in general, Googling themselves to find out where quite they rank. And
yeah, an amazing producer I had years ago did do a Google alert for me. So I do get like updates every like 9 months. I'll get like a something or other, and inevitably it's just like gobbledygook spam, but sometimes you do find something about yourself or someone saying something about you, or like you turn up in like a random Irish article in like a rural newspaper about something you've done, and you're like, oh wow, okay.
The joys of the internet. So let's start from the very beginning. Where are you from? Hold on, let me guess. Ireland.
Oh, surprise. I'm not American as most people think.
Do they?
Yes, weirdly. Yeah, the accent. When you get to London, you tend to sort of neutralise the accent. But like where I come from, it's called Roscommon. And
where is that?
In the Midlands, like pure dead centre in the middle. Okay. It's like the middle of the country, flat, like really, really flat. That's the kind of flash, really flash. And you don't say, you might say, we're going for a spin, which would be like going for a drive. You'd say, we're going for a spin. There's always these like beautiful, kind of like how we enunciate words, very like Playboy of the Western world at the National recently. Like that was some of the negative feedback because they couldn't understand the sort of Hiberno English.
Great play.
Yeah, great play.
Couldn't understand the word.
But I'm like, guys, I don't understand what Shakespeare's saying, and I've not said that to you. So like maybe you could change. But
that's very valid actually.
Yeah, lots
but
of
you're not allowed to say that
SHs.
about Shakespeare. Shakespeare's like untouchable. Definitely.
I mean, I love Shakespeare, so I've nothing negative to say. Just, I think it's more about the audiences maybe taking a leap of faith into kind of understanding or listening. Maybe subtitles would have been the best solution for everybody, and I think subtitles are fantastic. So, but yes, the SH, we have these sort of fascinating ways with words in rural Ireland, and it's very quick. You have to be very fast. But yeah, I come from Roscommon, which is a very famous town in Ireland for being the only county in the whole of Ireland that voted no for the marriage equality referendum in 2018.
And your parents, were they performers?
No, my family history is quite interesting. I am adopted, and my twin sister is adopted. We're adopted together. My brother is adopted separately.
Can we just so that picture, that's your twin sister?
That's my twin sister Katrina, and that's me with my Snoopy. I'm obsessed with Snoopy.
Who isn't?
I know. I just think he's like my spirit animal, and that's my brother Joseph, who's my older brother. My mum was a French teacher, English teacher. My dad's a farmer. And very normal, kind of classic Irish rural family. Education's really important. Grew up in like the countryside. Yeah, it was quite idyllic, really, if you think about it. It's bizarre that we've turned out this way. Like how we could. I'm fascinated by how people defy all the circumstances that they're given.
But this is, I think, part of the point of this podcasting as a way is how people end up doing these most remarkable professions. You know, when you go into your school careers advice at some point, they're unlikely to have within the fold of possible careers, you know, queer cabaret act or fire breather or
sword
swallower, aerial artist, or even things slightly more mainstream. You know, even become like a musical theatre performer
or a writer.
Or
just
a
to say
writer.
you want to be a writer.
Yeah,
it's
it's not what most people do. And I am interested in how everyone arrives at that point. So tell me.
As my cousin in America always says, like, I always had like a jet of fire coming out of my bum. I was just like going.
One of those acts. No.
I mean, that is an act that I should. Well, I mean, that's not. And I just think I had like this sort of. My mum was always saying that we were very like curious. And mum and dad they provided everything we needed in terms of our interests. They may not have had huge interests in like music or pop culture or film, but we were sort of provided for. Like, we did art classes, we did singing, I did button accordion, my twin sister did piano. You know, we were just like, what is it you want to do?
Was this within school or also privately outside school?
Outside school, but in Ireland, like, we just have this sort of community spirit thing where, like, you can go to at the time, it was the 90s and the noughties, like, you could go to a button accordion class and it wouldn't break the bank, you know? And there's a community there that will really try and, like, for better or for worse, pull you in and try and get new blood and all that kind of stuff.
Without being stereotypical, though, so is that because that's part of the Irish culture more than it is here?
It's a pride. Yeah, it's a pride thing, and it's about keeping culture alive and also using, if you've got talent for something. I think there's a kind of a thing about Ireland. It's very different now, but at that time was sort of in entering the sort of boom period, and education is so important because we want you to achieve. And so it's the contradiction that I turned out where I did. But, you know, it's like, we really want the best for you. And I think there was a drive to fulfill those interests, and a frustration if the interest wasn't mastered or, you know, the achievement wasn't reached. You know, a lot of giving up stuff, which was frustrating, I'd say. I was a swimmer. I was like third in Ireland in backstroke.
Were you?
As a 16-year-old. Yeah, I was a high jumper, third in Ireland in high jump in some bizarre...
high achiever.
Like, we were just very active and very... But not in a high achieving kind of like pushy way. Like, okay. It was just like, we just had this like energy and go, which I probably still have.
But I think you
need that.
You need that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think both as a performer, being on stage, you need that, but also in order to keep going through ups and downs.
For sure. It's a very lonely road, and there's ups and highs and lows, and there's so much that I think about and I've worked on it myself, and how you cope with those highs and lows and how you protect yourself and separate who you are from the work and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I think Ireland is fantastic, you know, breeding ground for talent, and like, you're seeing it now. Only in a similar way to Korea, South Korea, where they're like really, really pushing their culture. Ireland is like really proud of its culture, and
so it should be.
Yeah, and the government are really putting. That's why you've got like Oscar winners every year, you know, from Ireland, because the funding and the support is so there. Cillian Murphy and Jessie Buckley, and you know,
I didn't even know she was Irish.
Yeah, this is the thing. She's Irish. She's from Kerry. So we have all these amazing talents, you know, that are just out there like playing at a high level, because there is this sort of, it's important.
So you did these classes, button accordion and others. So what was the process from doing that and as a sort of a fun way to taking it slightly more seriously?
I hated that. I was very good at picking something up, but very bad at perfecting it. So, you know, there was a guy down the road, and this is just, I mean, I shouldn't really, but I will. He was super competitive and I just wasn't. And so I was really naturally gifted at the button accordion, I will say, and he wasn't. But he spent all his time learning it and I didn't. And he went on to he would play the organ at Mass. And he then realized that all the good organ jobs were in the Protestant churches. He then converted to Protestantism.
To become an organist.
And is now a reverend.
Brilliant.
Hilarious.
Based on the fact that's the only way you can...
To perfect it. Yeah, so we're talking like...
Well, there's a lesson there somewhere.
Yeah, there's a lesson but to get where I got, you have to just bring in the equation like queerness and being different and like having an outside eye and also being adopted, I think, is something about it. You do sort of exist on the outskirts of social groups a little bit. Like, it may not seem on the surface. I was talking to one of my collaborators who's also adopted, and like, we were just saying like we're very social, but we do have this like sense of like otherness that we just carry. Plus, I'm obviously gay, and you know, you do end up being like into these things, but then being like, but everyone else is doing it, so why am I doing this? And you start to think about things in a different way. There's like this is my brain. Like this is how I functioned. I've always been looking for like the other way. Like how are people doing? How could I? Like I was recently thinking about the button accordion again because I was at the London Irish Centre on Saturday. I was thinking I'd love to bring the button accordion back and do it maybe topless and naked or something. And like,
I'll tell you what I heard the other day, which of course I've heard before, but I haven't heard it for a long time, not as well as it was with a mouth organ.
oh yeah,
Just a really, really, really brilliant mouth organ player. Creating sounds I just couldn't imagine you could create. It was like almost having a little bit of a miniature organ in your mouth. Sorry, that sounds wrong, but you know what I mean.
you said it. Is a mouth organ similar to the harmonica?
Harmonica, yes, exactly.
I remember I gifted my sister's terribly gifted, like as a musician, and she just had this massive talent, and I got her a harmonica for Christmas as a joke, and she just picked it up and played it. And I was like,
it was just amazing.
It's just like people who understand music like that are amazing to me. I never really could crack it, you know, that kind of sense of like, you know, how music is created and formed and stuff.
Other than the accordion, did you do like acting lessons?
No. Well, yeah, we did speech and drama, which is a very kind of classic Irish school thing where you do the speech and drama, you know, you do the games and stuff, but it wasn't ever in a kind of like, we're going to speech and drama, we're not going to theatre school, we're not like all that kind of stuff. And I did, as I kind of hit puberty, I started to really go into myself, and I had a lot of I didn't like how I looked. I had like really funny like gap teeth and was like acne by the time I was 13. So I really went into myself. So I didn't really do a lot of acting until I got kind of like a little bit of confidence and put myself forward for Grease, the musical in the local school, in our school.
As which part?
As the guy who sang, like the guy who was singing at the school dance. I can't remember his name. I couldn't even do it. But this is the really, really crazy thing about it was I was so stage shocked and so nervous, they ended up having to get me to lip sync to it. I couldn't do it. It was mad. I just had I could not break out of the fear. It was crazy. So like,
how old would you be?
I was like 15.
Okay, which is, yeah.
And then the next year, my neighbor, who was also the music teacher, was like, we're trying this one more time. And this time we want you to be Von Trapp in the Sound of Music. And I was like, a little meaty role. And she really broke me out of that. I somehow was able to break out. She sat with me and we
So you were
sung
Christopher
together.
Plummer?
Yes, I was. Yes. I was like, what is that? I'm not a plumber. Yes, I was. I nailed it.
Did you?
Like Jesus to the cross. It was good. I did it. And it was fun. And I really got over my concerns.
So was that like an important
switching point? Yeah. Like I kind of was, but this is the thing about like rural Ireland and like people being like, oh, like, you know, your hometown hates gay people and like they voted against. And I was like, no, they didn't. That's a different situation. Like I was so nurtured and like I'd say these people would be very kind of like embarrassed now if I pointed them on the street and was like, that person really made it for me, you know. But they were just sort of like softly, push, you know. And I think I needed to be carrot, less stick. You know, I needed to be kind of like a bit nurtured and just to kind of feel at peace with myself. And at the same time, I came out in Roscommon at 16, which was like very unusual. Very early especially for rural Ireland.
How long do you think before that you knew yourself?
Oh, like I remember being like 14 and walking down with my friend who also turned out to be very gay. Being like, I'll just be a priest. It's so much easier. I remember just thinking, that's an easy way out. That's grand. And then I was realizing that I just I didn't like myself and I was just not really gelling with anyone and I just wanted to be nice. And I just was like eating myself alive inside and rotting. You know, my spirit was rotting and I just was like 16. We have a thing in Ireland called transition year where you spend a year just not doing school. And
okay.
Yeah, it's great. You do like maybe 16 and you do all these like vocational things.
And that still exists?
Yeah, it still exists.
That's
and
very sensible.
You don't have to do it, but you can. And it's a good year for people who are creative or want to get out or do work experience. And I remember just being like, yeah, I'm telling everyone now. And I remember it was the same year Madonna Confessions on the Dance Floor came out. And it was like, it's perfect timing. And it was tough. Like I got a lot of flack for it. But
how were your parents?
Mum was, you know, I think she was just upset because I was being so like bullied, really. Like it was horrific, really. But she was fine. And I never really told my dad. And we're great. I was like, I'm not doing this again. This is a silly thing. Like, you know, can you just tell them?
I somehow think we presume, I say we, white, middle-class, heterosexual sort of people who are privileged, just think now we live in a society that's open, that it's sort of, so, you could understand coming out in the 70s or 80s might have been tricky, but surely now it's not that tricky. But obviously it is still.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very different time. Like, Drag Race didn't exist.
That's true. So yes, no, that is
There was
true.
a different kind of culture.
But I believe even now, I think it's probably not the easiest thing. I mean, it obviously depends on
your upbringing. It's very curious. I know some young gay men, and it feels like, I don't have any bitterness to younger generations who have been freed of that stigma. And I'm freed of it. I don't have any sense of stigma, but there's a different world out there for them. And I'm more concerned about other parts of the community, really. But, it can't be taken for granted. Like, I was out at we have this nightclub in Roscommon called Rockford's, and it's like a cattle mart where they sell cattle. It's that intense and messy and disgusting. And it's like they've got grates on the ground to catch the drink. You know what I mean? It's like a real nightclub for real farmers, but it's kind of camp. And this guy came up to me in the Chinese afterwards and was like, "Anthony Kier." And I say he was in his 50s. He's like, "You absolute fucking legend. Thank you for all you've done." And I was like, "What the?" And there was like a ricochet, because there's a whole silent community. And now in my hometown, there's a pride parade every year.
Brilliant.
And it's like there are lots of people who feel really included and welcome. And I think that a lot of people who would have been, I was talking to my partner about this, we sort of moved on loads, but a lot of people have sort of pretended that those times didn't exist, that people weren't homophobic, that are now very friendly and nice. People were homophobic.
But sometimes I wonder whether people are still homophobic. They just pretend better.
Yeah.
They just know that it's not appropriate, so they don't say anything.
Truly.
I don't know.
Same with race, same with all those things.
No, but I think that's true. People have learned that it's not okay to say it. Instinctively, I still think people fear the other, don't they?
Totally, yeah.
They prefer people who are like themselves, or rather, it's easier. My issue is, not my personal issue, but I feel the big difficulty often is socioeconomic, so dealing with white working class people and getting them feeling as part as... and I think a lot of politically, sort of go on to this, of what's happening at the moment is that exclusion of those people who do not feel...
Yeah, I would hear that there's a huge problem for white young men in schools, the STEM, that drive. And I'm speaking as not an education professional, but, it's amazing how far we've come in terms of educating and women and feminism and supporting women in jobs and but they're, we also need to think about those young working class boys who are getting it from all angles too, in terms of the manosphere and toxic culture, and it's quite scary.
No, I agree. And for me, I think that is definitely what the priority should be at the moment, because I think a lot of the issues in today's society, the type of politics we have, is as a result of those type of people not feeling included.
Well, you can see that in America, with the white lash, as someone called it. Obama is voted in, and
yes, and then everyone gets a bit worried. Yes,
and it's guys, look, all those things I think are coming back around. I think we're going to be fine.
Did you see the picture of Trump as Christ today? Did you see that?
No,
image?
I didn't.
Which he posted.
Did he?
Yes.
I heard he was giving out about the Pope, and I was like, this is great PR for the Pope.
Yes, the Pope.
The Pope he's slay. This guy is he's a very conservative Pope.
Yes.
He just is. His views on things are conservative, and here's Trump being he's too radical. I'm what is but I actually think, if there is someone who's able to use their platform from any perspective to say don't kill people, it's please say it.
Going back a little bit,
we really digress. It's not a political podcast.
Growing up, were there any particular performers who inspired you, who you wanted to be like, or you thought they were amazing?
Jennifer Saunders, Dawn French. Just one place. Absolutely obsessed with Madonna. Absolutely obsessed with Kent Williams. Once Channel 4, we had a TV and we didn't have good antenna, so we couldn't really get a lot of stuff. And then suddenly we got a good TV and the antenna. This is so 90s coded, noughties coded. And suddenly Channel 4 was working. And I suddenly had the top 100 comedians of the 20th century. Or, and you're watching and you're oh my God, who's the guy who went shut that door? Who's that guy?
Larry Grayson.
Yeah.
Larry Grayson.
And Kenneth Williams being so, I really, if I ever get asked to do the Irish Late Late Show, which is the longest running TV show in the world for
was that the one that used to be done with Gay
Byrne, yeah. I really want to channel Kenneth Williams and just dress in that kind of grey suit suit and the tie and just like really bring, because he was like so, his lyrics, the way he spoke was just so profound, and he was like also profoundly unhappy and lonely person.
Profoundly unhappy. Yeah, I got into listening to a lot of his, or he knows the diaries he wrote. There was like an audio book of his diaries, which was...
There's an asp in my box.
Oh yes,
I love all that. And like the way he was able to just like, he said something that really stuck with me. I was watching some videos recently where you only smell yourself. Like, you know, so he's like, people hate gay people hate others, but actually it's usually you that's the problem. It's like something's coming from you.
No, I'm sure there's
something really profound in there.
I think that's very true. I'm sure all our strong feelings are a result of our own.
Yeah. He said it so eloquently, one line, it's because you don't like your own smell. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, like, so those references, Goldfrapp, I remember being in my teens.
Goldfrapp.
Yeah, interesting. Very
interesting.
Very like lost in terms, it was the time of Green Day and rock music. My brother was obsessed with Metallica and my sister was obsessed with Damien Rice. Remember Damien Rice?
Yeah.
And I was like, where do I go? And then Gwen Stefani came out with LAMB. Now, obviously now she's like kind of gone off into like the alt-right Christian place.
Has she?
Yeah, she's on a Catholic app and all that kind of stuff. And fair, do what you want, girl. But that kind of that sensibility, that music, pop music, Madonna, Confessions on the dance floor, like those kind of things really inspired me. And I loved the idea of people telling stories through pop music and stuff like that. It really got me going. And comedy.
Telling stories through pop music. So the words, the lyrics of a pop
song. The image, the sound.
But because actually, it's strange. It's only recently, and this is largely due to someone I know who's very much into pop lyrics, that I've always just thought as the pop lyrics as something that you hang on the tune, as opposed to often the lyrics are as or even more important than the tune. It's only something I recently sort of got my head around, I think.
Like pop music is a really powerful force. Like I have a project that I'm doing in Ireland for the next like 8 years, I think. It's a long-term project. Yeah. It's called Era 32 and it's a song for every county in Ireland. And the idea is that the public can come with us and work for us for 3 or 4 days on a song about like their local, not a kind of like, I don't like the bins not being collected. That's really annoying. But like to be inspired and to encourage the people to write and to find access in writing and that music can be accessible. And pop music can be really like the Venga Boys song, like The Venga Boys Are Coming, was like the anthem for like some political movement in Austria. You know, like pop music can be really effective.
Well, I was re-listening, for example, to the Communards lyrics or Eurasia's lyrics.
Well, there you go. A fantastic, interesting articles and books on, you know, the power of propaganda through pop, which I can't list off right now, but pop music is powerful. And like, especially in terms of, you know, Six the Musical or my other show, Oliver Cromwell is Really Very Sorry. Like we use pop music to tell stories of history and it's really easy because it's structured. Like, you know, you've got a very straightforward structure, you know, and you can get information across really easily. And Robin, you know, the amazing Robin, Dancing on My Own, she spoke about and this is a big term, the dramaturgy of the pop song. So like in theatre, obviously we use dramaturgy as an outside eye, as structure, as sort of why something is doing something, how something's functioning. And she talks about the same thing in terms of pop music, like why a sound is the way it is because it's saying something or it's countering something. It's the same at musical theatre. Why you use a certain sound, it's there to tell the story of the intention of the I want or the person's desires, etc., etc. So there's so much to play for. It's really powerful. I'm obsessed with pop music.
Even the word pop music, it seems slightly fey, slightly slight, but actually you're right. It has a
popular music.
Yeah, yes, but exactly.
Yeah. Or populist music.
Yeah. Well, yes, but you don't think of that somehow. But you're right, obviously.
Yeah.
And has a huge impact. Huge impact at the moment. Huge impact. Nostalgic impact. Yeah. Belonging. All those type of things. So tell me, you did all these things. Did you ever consider, having left school, that you'd do anything other than perform?
Our A-levels are called the Leaving Cert, and it's a point, anyway, I'm not going to go into the system, but I scored very high, and I could have done law, but instead I went to art college. So I never trained in theatre, I never trained in any courses, like I did fine art paint.
You said you did very well at school. I think almost everyone I've interviewed has done well or went to university. Is it possible to be creative without some sort of intellect?
I mean, I think creativity is the intellect. You know, I think creative people are are outside the box people. You know, they're not necessarily intellectual in a kind of traditional sense. You know, lots of people have like, you know, ADHD or dyslexia, but they find ways of figuring things out outside of the system. You know,
That's what I was like. A curiosity.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Yes,
I'm still here. Like, you know, I think that I only did well in my leaving cert because I figured out the system. Like, I figured out what was the demand.
But that's clever in itself, isn't it? So
there was always a cultural question in history. So I wrote about Madonna, erotica, got a very high mark.
Well, I'm sure you're probably the only one who did.
Yeah, exactly. And the guy was like, this is really sexy and strange for an 18-year-old's writing. Okay, cool.
That's very good. Very good. So you went to art college and did fine art?
Yeah, I did a year of painting, and then I just did performance art, and I started doing like performance art in like empty spaces because Ireland had fallen apart, the crash had happened, and there was no money. And I was doing like singing Evita while like building towers of ice cream.
Love it.
It was very strange. And Panty Bliss, the amazing drag queen of the Queen of Ireland, like had a blog, which when blogs are big, and like she was like, there's this performance artist making ice cream performances. It's very strange. And then suddenly people were like, you're a performance artist. Like, I belong. I'm something. And I was really excited because I had like a name. And I just went down this weird path and was just creating. And then I did a thing called Alternative Miss Ireland, which was kind of a queer pageant event to raise money for HIV and AIDS. And I didn't win, but I came third. And I had made this massive like cardboard cake, and like popped out of it and sang a song. And
I love it.
Did it, and then was like, I'm going to go and make some theatre. And I made a show, my first ever show, my Fringe show for Dublin Fringe 2013. And it was called Kitchkock.
Let me guess. Murder mystery?
No, actually, that would have been much better. I mean, to be honest, I just like the sound of it. Yeah.
I'm a great believer in titles. Come up with a title first and then work out what it's about. Definitely.
Oliver Cromwell is really very sorry. Like, you just need to, like, titles are so powerful.
Exactly. You can always work out what it's about afterwards, can't you?
Totally. And people don't realize, I had a show called Pre-Nude, which was me singing in, like, clothes about things. And it was, you know, prelude, pre-nude. I had a show called, what was it called? Idiotica.
I once had an idea for a reverse strip, but I think that's happened.
Reverse strip?
Yeah, you come on completely naked and get dressed.
I love that idea.
Yeah. I've never quite managed.
Very Ursula Martinez.
To pull it off.
Have you heard? You know Ursula Martinez, the great legend.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you know the hanky?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you do? How do you do it? Yeah, I love that. Reverse strip. Yeah, I really like that. Putting clothes on is quite funny. Yeah.
But the trouble is, I don't know how you do it elegantly. That's the problem. Taking off is relative. Well, apparently.
I actually think taking clothes off, oh my God, it's so hard to do properly on a show. Jesus, no.
Well, on the first one of these podcasts, I was taught by a burlesque artist how to peel a glove. It's not particularly erotic.
But that can be quite... No, I think small things that count. There's the small things that count.
All these things you were doing at Edinburgh Performance Art, were you earning money? Could you live? No?
No, like, I mean, I was pure broke. Like, you know, I never had any money. Like, you know, if I wanted to do something, I had to do it myself, you know, and that's a good thing. You know, I worked my ass off continuously, and I tried to focus on my work, and probably wasn't very realistic. I worked as a manager of a Vietnamese restaurant in East London for about 2 years or a year.
Now, there's a musical.
Yeah, there is a musical. And I really loved that. And I mean, anyone has their sort of their head screwed on will have done service, you know, in some capacity, and understands the graft. And I remember it being so tough. And you know, it was just so intense. It's always been a battle. You know, you're trying to earn money, but also like make your work happen. And in the 2017s, 2016, 2015, there was rent allowance. There isn't anymore. Now it's universal credit. And I was able to get like maybe 400 quid a month. And then I also worked in a clothing factory where I packed clothes in East London. You know, I did anything.
But I think that's really important to hear about, because I think there's an article in The Guardian a month or so ago, which basically said that earning a living in performance, whether it be music or acting, whatever, is becoming solely able to be done by people of middle class background, because they're the only ones who can really afford it. Do you think that's true?
I think that's very true. And I mean, like, look, I come from middle class Ireland, even though we're a farming family. Like, you know, if anything ever happened, I could go home.
Yes,
you know,
well, that's true. But I didn't mean. I didn't quite mean that bad. But even that is true.
Mm.
But if you're, I don't know, from a single parent to the top of it, and you have no money whatsoever to eat, then becoming a performer is like probably the last thing you can do. I don't know. I just think it's a little bit of, again...
I think it's so outweighed. Like, I think there's a lot of middle class... This is quite cruel. I think there's a lot of people making work that really... I mean, we need to just be supporting those people that are like, you know, from those lower income families and have like, you know, deserved to create, you know. But
and isn't there in Ireland like a benefit system for performers?
So there's a basic income for the arts, which has just come in. Now, it's not for everybody. Not everyone can get it. It's like progressive, which kind of is a contradiction. It's like only 2,000 people, but it's now in law. It's now something that is progressively now, you know, happening. And, you know, with that comes the complication of like the odd tax accountant who might like to take videos on his phone can get it, maybe. You know what I mean? You know, it's...
But still,
nevertheless, you know, it's money well spent. And I'm a big believer in spending money on artists. And in Ireland, we have, like, we can get into this discussion around the Arts Council in the UK and England and how it is just not functioning. And the Arts Council in Ireland, which has problems and is underfunded, but is exceptional in how it supports artists. Like, we have a annual bursary for people, and you can apply and you can have €20,000 in your bank account in 6 months' time, and that can support your development. And I have been lucky enough to get that a few times actually over the last 10 years. And the first time I got it, it was what changed my life. Like, you know, I only applied for like $6,000 because I was like, I could never apply for more. And I was able to suddenly get off that kind of treadmill of struggling and was able to go, I need mentoring from this person. Can you help me? You know? So, I don't know, I'm very proud of Ireland. And I kind of wish people knew how like good Ireland is at supporting its artists.
Well, maybe that it's clearly no coincidence that Ireland produces so many amazing performers, particularly for the size of the country. That's probably no coincidence related to how supportive the country is of those.
Totally.
Of those. I still, to this very day, can't get over that advert. Do you remember that COVID advert which showed a ballerina?
Oh God!
Which
train up.
She can always retrain as a computer,
like an analyst or something.
Yes,
I'm sure she could.
I'm sure she could. But it sort of slightly diminishes.
Totally.
It sort of says this is a proper. There's this view that it's still not a proper job. It's a sort of a hobby, a sideline.
It's an extra.
It's an extra.
Yeah, but it's not. It's fundamental, and I think that people. Culture is it's the thing that will get us out of the worst times that we're in, I believe.
I agree. Yeah,
I think how we communicate to audiences that aren't, you know, how we reach audiences is so important. You know, those who don't come necessarily. We're not trying to communicate to the regular National Theatre goer. You know, it's getting those people that don't come to the theatre and maybe. Do you regard that as part of your job, if you like? Yeah, my audience needs to be theys and thems, grannies and nannies. Like, I want to make work that can hold space for queer people, but also like can bring in outsiders and people who don't feel comfortable in those spaces. And that's the aim. I don't know if it's successful. I know I just did a sharing on Saturday for new work that I'm making, and it was such a diverse audience. You know, I was really happy with that audience. That's a really interesting group to bring together, you know?
And it's true, you know, we go to National, which I do from time to time. You go and see West End musicals from time to time. It's the same audience of, generally speaking, white people and definitely people who've got money, because otherwise you can't afford the tickets. Yeah.
There's some amazing works out there, like the Lyric Hammersmith did a play, I'm going to get the name wrong, but it's about, it's set in Africa and it's a boarding school, and it was an audience full of people that didn't look like me. And it was an honor to be in that room and to like, I don't know, there's a joy in people experiencing like stories that they can reflect on and kind of see themselves in. And it was like, this is really exciting. This is a great bit of programming, you know, like we need to be doing that, but we need to be doing it in an authentic way. We can't be just sort of, I think it's someone said to me, brown boxing. I'm getting into politics again, but you know, in Australia when I was there, this is a story about, you know, we need to support artists from the get-go and not just be putting them in the wrong place, you know, for kudos. You know, we need to really be like putting our money where our mouth is. And, you know, there's Arts Council England have a developing your creative practice, and it's like 10 grand, 12 grand. It's amazing. Every single person that wants to get that should get that once. It should be a lottery. It should be a queue, and everyone should get that 12 grand. Whether it takes 4 years to get that list down, everyone deserves that money.
The primary thing is for governments to realise the importance of the arts on all levels, not least the amount of income it brings into the country anyway.
Totally.
It's not some sort of just wasted investment.
No. But you remember the Britpop era, you know, like it's a cultural commodity that we can sell to.
Exactly.
And that's no bad thing. We're getting people in. There's a net good of like selling the work and entertaining people and getting a good name for Britain. Britain does need to be slightly rehabilitated, and if we could have a Britpop part 2, where it's like Spice Gals or something, that would be no harm,
No, I agree.
Be good.
I agree.
For the vibes, because the vibes are not here.
So I need to go back a bit because I must ask you about this photo.
That one.
Yes. Tell me about that. Where's that? When's that?
That's Tiffany and Hannah and I, and we are doing Edinburgh Fringe 2017.
So was that the one you mentioned? Was that...
This?
No, that was the other one.
God, that was a good year. I've been to Edinburgh Fringe as a performer twice, and this was like a dream. We did it on the, with an amazing producer called David Doyle, and it's a Eurovision show called Dues. And it was about Xnthony, that, as a pop star trying to get the nomination to represent Ireland in the Eurovision. It was just as Brexit broke. It was really about identity and Englishness and Europeanness, and it was very, very nonsensical. There's a song in it where I count to 1 trillion. That won every night, and other songs where we would like, let's party, and there was like a drinking game, and we would like drink, like every time the word party came up, we'd be like, it was really like stupid and fun. And that outfit was made by an amazing artist, Bo, who is an amazing drag queen. And it's like a leotard, like wrestling outfit. Like it was just, the whole thing was just so camp and stupid.
Just the three of you?
Yeah. And we put that glitter curtain up in like 5 minutes. It was in like little Ziploc bags. And we'd like rush and be like, bloody hell, get out of my way. And it was so hard work, but it was so rewarding. And the show was like a real hit. Like we had like sellout shows of like 100 people, like, which is big for a first go, Turn it on its head. 2019, I went with a show called Confirmation, which was about my hometown voting no. And I could not get like 10 people in the audience. And it was like horrific. It was a horrific experience, which really told me a lot about what stories people want to see and not see. And I don't think people wanted to see a story about like, coming to terms with your count. It was weird. It just did not work. It was also, Edinburgh is such a strange place. It's like built on people's dreams and debt. And it's very, very difficult to survive. And I really have a problem with it. And that year was great. And then 2019, I was like, I never want to come back. But I'm sure if I went back tomorrow and it went well, I'd be like, yeah, Edinburgh's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it is difficult. It's so hit and miss there, and there's so much going on. And you're right, everyone loses money, and it's other than some people who must be making a lot of money.
Well, some people are making money, for sure there are.
But they're not the performers,
no,
are they?
No, I don't know what the price is now, but I'd say, oh God, it's expensive. I mean, I can see that cute, see there's an umbrella on the right.
Yeah.
With like tinsel.
Yeah.
We would open the umbrella at the end and it would just like, all the tinsel would just fall. It was so slapdash, but like in the funnest way,
And fitting Eurovision, isn't it? Because that's what, in a way, of what Eurovision is. Tell me about the name. We haven't touched upon that.
Xnthony.
Yes, how you came out with it.
I broke up with someone in 2009, I think. I can't remember the date. And I didn't want him to find me on Facebook. And that's what it is. I just changed my name, put an X in, and then it stuck.
Did we ever find you on Facebook?
No.
Well, that worked.
And it just worked. It just had that kind of thing, that kind of X-tube, Christ, Xtina. It just had a thing and it just stuck and I can't remove it really.
So you were performing there. Had you written that show?
Yeah. So I'd never considered myself a writer, but I wrote it with those amazing performers there, my collaborators, and we would just sit and write pop songs and nonsensical numbers and structure it. And it did take ages, and because we were figuring out writing is a tricky thing. I'd gone to Goldsmiths University and done performance making and met those two collaborators and we made it together. Performance making, yes, it's a nonsensical statement.
Can you tell me what that means?
Basically, you work with people from all sorts of different backgrounds as a master's, and you might work with an architect, dancer, a musician, and you just collaborate. It's the art of collaboration.
Okay, that's cool. That's interesting. That's
great.
Interesting.
I didn't learn anything about how to format a script or like how to like do anything in a traditional sense, which does sometimes come back to bite you, but it was kind of like a sort of a melting pot.
So now, moving up to the present day, sort of, writing is more your... Writing is all your thing, is it?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to prioritize because I think when you're younger and you're just sort of like going at it and you will literally put everything into it, I need to prioritize my energy,
Of course.
And I was doing performance like cabaret and I gave up alcohol in 2022. And once that happened, I realized that I had a connection with alcohol and cabaret and clubbing because I was doing a lot of hosting and parties.
So all that's one world.
Yeah. And it was becoming a little bit, I wouldn't say like in a dangerous way, but like, it it wasn't really healthy. And I made a show called Oliver Cromwell is Really Very Sorry. That was a huge hit in Dublin Fringe.
Was that a musical?
Yeah, about Oliver Cromwell and his time in Ireland. And you might not know the story.
Very supportive of Ireland, wasn't he?
Very supportive. Loved us.
Loved you,
yeah. So I was making a show about like the history, the untold history. And I really at that point had felt like I had nothing to lose. Like I just was like, because my last show at Fringe, Edinburgh Fringe, hadn't been a success, and like the reviews were not great, and I was like, this is really like my last ditch attempt. And for whatever reason, lockdown came. I just spent the years of lockdown working on it, and knew that there was something really special about it. Just had this like feeling that I was like, this could be really, really great. Presented at Dublin Fringe, and literally 4 days later, I was signed to Curtis Brown.
And they're major.
Yeah, it was huge. Like
that's huge.
Same agents as like Six the Musical, or
yes, that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, it was mad. It was absolutely mad. Now, I wrote it with Sam Curtis-Lindsay and Udo, like amazing pop maker and director Sam. And, we collaborated, but it was written,
Do you write everything?
No.
Lyrics and lyrics and music.
I would write lyrics and
book
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't know what that was. I was just like, let's get this story. And it was derived from cabaret. So we really tested it once we opened up after lockdown. We tested it in cabaret spaces and the Glory in East London when it was there. And I knew what worked, what didn't work,
Very, very briefly, can you tell me it? Tell me this.
Oliver Cromwell.
Yes.
It's about 5 or 4 kind of like punky renegade Irish nationalists who go to Cambridge to dig up Oliver Cromwell's head, and that is buried in a biscuit tin, which is a true story.
True story.
Like his head is buried in a biscuit tin in Cambridge. And it's about revisiting history and trying to understand it. But because Oliver Cromwell is a potentially neurotic person who wanted to be an actor, who failed and got, decided to go into politics.
It's a bit like Hitler being a failed artist.
Or Trump.
Or
Reagan. Like there's all these...
Reagan was a relatively
very successful actor, yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, I found on YouTube, have you ever seen the interview? There's a Wogan interview.
Oh my God.
With Donald
Oliver
Trump.
Cromwell.
No, Donald Trump and Dame Edna Everage.
Wow. I must watch.
It is.
It's skewering, I suppose.
It's the most, and of those two, guess who has the most insight? It was Donald Trump, his first wife, and Dame Edna. It's hilarious.
I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between Dame Edna and his first wife. I'd be like, I'd look really closely there. Let's take the wig lines.
Anyway, sorry. Going back to Oliver Cromwell.
Yeah, so it's like opening song is called 800 Years. How well do you know your neighbour? And they're digging this hole. It's very theatrical. And they open the hole, kind of comes alive. Lol, what a strange thing to say. And his story, he railroads the whole story and reimagines his story for the Irish public. And it's like he recolonizes the story and tries to sort of defend his decisions,
justify himself.
And so in that, we're dealing with really dark themes around genocide, around violence, around history, around men and power. But it's done through like hyper pop, hyper
That's
modern.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's
and
brilliant. I love that. How big's the cast?
It was only 5. Yeah,
so
5.
The 4 men plus Cromwell.
Yeah.
So completely male cast.
No, mixed. Trans, queer, like all the performers were cabaret people that we'd worked with in the UK, and we really wanted to like keep this sort of cabaret energy. It wasn't a traditional musical. It wasn't taught like now we would use like transcript.
But it is interesting, isn't it? So you described that to me in a couple of sentences, and already I've got it. And I think that's also important, isn't it? The tide's on, being able to just sell it, but without having to go into too much detail. You see it in your head.
Yeah, and it was really fun because it opens with Oliver Cromwell in university trying to act, and he's really bad, and everybody is wearing sort of reclaimed Adidas and reclaimed like fundamentally Irish military wear, and Oliver's wearing a traditional sort of outfit from the 17th century, but it's an Adidas outfit. It's really modern and really punky, and and it had a lot to say, and it's dealing with like really complicated things. He turns up at Drogheda where he killed so many people and where people really still hate him. He's like the boogeyman of Ireland. And he just, in the show, he Irish dances across Drogheda. But we just say it, we just do it. And he's like, I'm the daddy of democracy. You can call me daddy. And he walks out into the audience and he just tells people like, you can thank me because I really saved you. It's like the kind of complexes. And the last part of the show, the last song is called Really Very Sorry, and it's like this sort of power ballad, and he's been dug, his head is like floating the biscuit tin, and he's like, I just want to say, I really just want to say I'm so sorry, please forgive me, Ireland, Tá Broner, that kind of, this Irish for I'm sorry, and it's sort of riffing off the Queen, speaking Irish, and like people being like, what is happening? So it's very, it was fun. It's never going to come to the UK, pretty sure.
Why?
I've tried so hard.
Too Irish?
That's such an interesting thing, because I just presented a new musical that I'm working on about Lourdes, which is a pilgrimage site in France about Catholicism. And I feel like it'll work here. But I think, you know what? I think that it's about history that people might not want to visit. I think that money is tight here in terms of how buildings are doing. And I think it might not be the time with everything that is happening in the world. And maybe it's a bit too current or just not interesting, or it's not good. I couldn't tell you.
It's difficult to know, though, isn't it? It's, things are successful in retrospect, but at the time, you never knew.
I never knew. I knew this show would be good. I knew. I had no doubt about it that it was special. I knew it. I just had this feeling. It's bizarre.
Well, Curtis Brown must have as well. I mean, if they signed you up, and then how far are you along the lines with Lourdes, the musical?
It's coming out in October in Ireland. All details shall be revealed at a certain date, but it's taken 4 years. It's been a long process. I've realised, a bit like Kate Bush or Robin, lol, to make myself feel really good in good company, I've realised giving up cabaret was really important, because I needed to really focus on the writing and sort of get it right and try not to rush it and postpone the show. I was meant to come out 2025 and I postponed it.
Because it wasn't quite
wasn't
right
there, and I'd rather wait and get it right and find the right collaborators. And I just don't know, I have a very strong sense in like how I need to approach projects, and they take years now. I mean, Cromwell took 3 or 4 years. And that's because we have funding. Like, imagine if we didn't, it would be different. So I've got funding to do these things. And I'm working on another show called Troll Farm, which is about the industrial pop manufacturing complex in Korea. And that's taken 4 years. I've got another project in the works about amateur drama in Ireland. That's taken 4 years.
You're still younger. You've got time.
I'm 37 in July.
You're still young.
Still young.
Still young.
Yeah, need to. But I also think you don't want to flood the zone.
You do workshop?
Yeah, we do. I do very particular workshops. We don't spend a lot of money on extras. We really just spend the money on the people and the material and the people that need to make the material good. And we try and work as light as possible. I try to take space from things. I try to take like distance. Because it is possible to do multiple projects, like different spinning plates, but you need to kind of not let them mix. You can't merge them. You need space from them,
So moving forward, looking into the future, your writing is for you now the core thing.
But today I was thinking, I'd love to go back on stage.
Well,
2028.
What in? Have you ever been in since your Greece days? Have you ever done
I've been queried. I was queried to do something in Ireland in a big opportunity, and I said no twice. And I just thought I couldn't do it. I just can't hack it. I'm just not that good. I'm going to be really honest. Like, I work with amazing actors all the time, and they just are so brilliant, and I just really struggle. I find it really hard. Learning lines is like horrific. Yeah, it would take me twice as long to learn what it would take someone. I just haven't trained. I'm cabaret. I'm a cabaret baby. It's cabaret baby. Like
they're short form, aren't they? So I mean,
yeah. And then just don't get me wrong. Like the chemistry and the art and the power of cabaret. I mean, there's a reason why loads of straight theatre makers are bringing cabaret into their shows, because they think it's like, it gets people going. It's a good night out. To quote, it's a good night out. But cabaret is so hard. I always describe cabaret as like passing sort of a ball and seeing if it'll drop, and that's the excitement. That's the like.
Which is interesting. I mean, the name of the variety show, which this is, that is in the old days what cabaret was. I suppose a mixture of different people with different talents. The way cabaret's done, there's a wide variety of ways it can be done, isn't it? It could be queer cabaret, it could be
clowning,
burlesque, whatever it might be, a mixture of everything, having some sort of link through it. I don't know, some sort of, not plot as such, but
keep it moving, keep the energy up. Yeah, it's hard. Cabaret is really hard, and I have huge respect for people who do cabaret, and like the greats like Johnny Woo, Taylor Mack, Ursula Martinez. Well, these are
do you know
people
Gatto?
I know of, and I've never met, but I love,
because we've Now he's a man with an amazing, his voice. I mean, he's a proper opera singer.
Oh yeah. And I was working Johnny Woo.
Who they work together.
I was working Johnny Woo on Troll Farm, and he plays Mr. Manager, and he's the manager of the pop band, and like, it was just so amazing to work with such visceral go-get talent. Like, these are people that have like been formed in hell and are like literally have just, and I mean that in the best possible way, are like doing the work, nightclubs, going, club, another club, go. Like they're not stopping. And they have this like insatiable hunger and like a sense of daring that is just so powerful. And Johnny is just an amazing performer. Like I remember being like, can you do this? And he was like, of course I can do it, babes. You know, like, why are you even asking me? And I'm like, because everyone else, I'm not, like, you know, people are so scared. Not the cast we were working with, but like people are nervous. You know, he was just like, what is fear? You know, he's amazing.
Do you want to be famous?
Oh God, when I was younger, desperately, yes. Desperately so. I used to do all these hilarious videos of me on like public transport, like dancing, and before TikTok was a thing. And like they're all there. I used to do autograph signings on Grafton Street in Dublin and was really like pushing myself out there. And then I don't know, I got older and I kind of like realized that I just want the work to be good. Really deeply just want the work to be good. And I do want praise. Look, I'd love a compliment. You know what I mean? Would you like a compliment? Yes, I would. But also I need to be like grounded and surrounded by like reality, because I just can go so caught up in like my head, you know. Fame, I don't know, like it would scare me. I don't think I'd survive it. Like I think I'd be like deeply unhappy. I think I'd be really unhappy. I don't use social media anymore. I only use it for work. I don't publicize where I am or what I'm doing. I don't give my opinion about what I think about things. I just want the work to speak for itself.
Which is I suppose what it is about.
Yeah. It's taken a long time to get there, a lot of therapy and a lot of like, I really struggle with separating myself from the work for a long time. And I really used to struggle with like people, I don't know, whatever it is, the way that I put myself out there, people feel like they can just say what they want to me, you know, in about the work that I make in positive ways and also negative. And I really had to work really hard at like putting on a mask and saying like, it's the work they're talking about, not you. They don't know you at all. Making work is a miracle and it's really hard.
Of course. And in the same way as with a performance, you are being judged all the time.
Yeah. Who does he think he is doing that?
You know, both ways. This is brilliant. This is shit. This is whatever. And, you know, people are entitled to their views, but yeah, they definitely shouldn't be personal. It's just, but in a way, I suppose it's sort of a compliment to people engaging at all, because at least
they're interested.
They're interested. If people were not engaging, weren't saying anything, I think that's probably worse, isn't it?
It's so scary.
Yeah, you sort of write something and no one has any opinion on it.
I did miss like, you know, falling into like the kind of hermit world. Like I feel like I'm coming out for air now because like getting to the point where something is going to be presented. I really miss like the community of performers and like the energy and the buzz. And we did a sharing on Saturday for Lourdes at the London Irish Centre, and I was like, I forgot what it was like to bring people to mass, i.e. the show, you know? And I think it's so
and
powerful.
that's something also I've always thought is quite interesting, is the corollary between literally a mass and the theatre. That sort of, they're both sort of institutions of the same type. They both have their rules, the costumes, the music, you know, the etiquette.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you know,
the community,
turning water into wine. It's very theatrical.
It's all very theatrical.
Yeah. And that's what the new show is all about, Lourdes. It's about staging miracles and how you stage them, you know, and the magic of theatre. And yeah, it's, I think... I look forward. Yeah, I do too.
Let me know. Xnthony, this has been an absolute delight. Absolute delight. No, it generally has. Time has flown by.
I know.
Literally flown by. And I'm sure I could be here for another hour, but I can't because of places to go. But thank you. Thank you so much.
I hope I didn't ramble. My mammy will be listening.
No, just he's brilliant, mammy. Brilliant, yeah.
Mammy.
I can go into my song, but I won't. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for viewing this episode of the Variety Show podcast. For more information on this and other episodes, do visit us at our socials at the Variety Show podcast. Thank you very much. Until the next one. Goodbye.